Unstoppable Confidence, How to Overcome Negative Thoughts. Hello and welcome to part 3 of this 6-part e-course Unstoppable Confidence, Getting the Poise That Spells Success. Hi, I'm Selina Stone, a Master Life Coach and Casting Director, here to guide you through this series. Now, you can download a written copy of this course at selinastone.com under the heading e-courses. Now, even the most positive person gets negative thoughts. Yes, that's true. Here's an example for you. Olympian John Conrads won 1 gold and 1 bronze medal in the 1960 Rome Olympics. During the 400-metre freestyle, for which Conrads won the bronze medal, he said he lost focus by nurturing negative thoughts on how arch-rival Murray was going to perform. Conrads confessed that though he'd convinced himself he could win, these thoughts got in the way and blew his chances. Actually, negative thoughts are commonplace and anyone can be a victim to them. However, it's not the presence of negative thoughts, but the way we handle and react to them that either breaks or makes our confidence and self-esteem. Think over this. Nothing has any meaning in life, only the meaning you give to it. If you allow negative thoughts to harm you, they will. If you allow negative thoughts to help you, they will. Now, before we get into this session, it's important to keep a few points in mind. It's not only you that gets negative thoughts, everyone on this planet gets them. You are not making an attempt to uproot negative thoughts here. It's just learning how to handle them more smartly. Negative thoughts as such do not harm you. It's what you say to yourself after the thought has entered your head that harms you. Now, you can change any thought you want just by changing what it means to you. With that taken into account, let's kick off today's session. We're going to be looking at analysing your thoughts. We want to increase your confidence, and first you have to find out what triggers off those negative thoughts and emotions that you have about yourself. It becomes easier to analyse and respond to them if you write them down. So, with your pen and paper ready? FYI, for your information, it is not the trigger or the event that instigates the bad feelings. What make you feel despondent are the internal dialogues you say to yourself in response to the trigger. These catalysts distort reality and put your feelings in turmoil. Here's an example for you. That's the kind of turmoil Lynette got herself into. Her husband Roger had been quite distracted over the past few days. Lynette tried talking to him on a couple of occasions, but he wasn't very forthcoming. She'd heard him talking in hushed tones over the phone, and he also came home late more often than before. Lynette was perturbed beyond words. She spent hours talking to herself, wondering what Roger was up to. Now, she would have been saying something like this: he's ignoring me. Maybe he's having an affair with someone else. He doesn't find me attractive or interesting anymore. And what would she have felt? She would have felt anger and resentment, maybe grief and self-pity. Maybe she should have been more probing or given more time to her husband. Did she know her husband well enough to arrive at these conclusions? In fact, Roger must have been having a tough time at work. A bad review by the boss, or a fall in profits in business, a tiff with a colleague. It could have been anything. The point is, nothing in life has any meaning, only the meaning you give it. Roger must have had a completely unconnected problem, but to Lynette, it looked like a problem in their relationship. Controlling your inner voice and what you say to yourself either makes or breaks your self-esteem and confidence. In this session, you will be introduced to a technique which you can use to control your inner dialogue and to make you appraise just how hard and unreasonable you are on yourself. But before we get into the exercise, let's just discuss those negative thoughts that you have. Here's a small little recap. It is not the trigger or the event that instigates the bad feelings, but the internal dialogues you say to yourself in response to the trigger that makes you feel despondent. Okay, to make it easier to understand, let's split these negative thoughts or distortions into 13 categories. I'm going to read them out to you one by one, and you can use this as a quick reference. 1. Assuming. 2. Overgeneralizing. 3. Shoulds. 4. Labeling. 5. Binning the positives. 6. And they all lived happily ever after. 7. Blaming other people and events. 8. It's all or nothing. 9. Negative thinking erodes your soul. And 10. Believing what you feel. 11. Personalizing. 12. Making comparisons with others. And 13. I can't cope with life. Well, we're going to go through them one by one, so make notes of the ones that you use most frequently. 1. Assuming. When you make assumptions with your thinking, you are assuming the worst without knowing the full picture or without testing the evidence. Let's go back to our example about Lynette and her husband. She didn't have any of the facts, she just assumed that her relationship with her husband was in deep trouble. She could have tested the assumption by going up to him and saying, "Roger, did I do something that upset you? What's wrong? I think we should talk this out." Other examples of assuming self-talk are, "I know this project is going to be rubbish. I know I'll make loads of mistakes if I'm best man. I know people will just hate me." Now, how could you rephrase some of these thoughts above to make them more realistic? Example, "I'm going to give this project a chance and make up my own mind." 2. Overgeneralizing. This is when you overgeneralize your thoughts and make them more intense by the words you use. For instance, you would say things like, "I always end up on the losing side. I make mistakes in everything I do. Everyone hates me. Everyone thinks I'm so dumb. I never do any good at cooking." Even when you read these lines, their demoralizing effect is so evident. As much as you know that such overgeneralizing internal dialogues are inaccurate, unjust and unfair and affect your confidence, yet you use them. You certainly are not making mistakes in everything you do. Come on, you think you're making a mistake right now? Rubbish. It's not everything that you do then, is it? So, how do you turn this around? Well, a better phrase to use would be, "Sometimes my cooking doesn't turn out very well, but overall, I'm a good cook." Sounds fair? Look for the good in situations and what is working well. It can do wonders. 3. The shoulds. Some people surround themselves with shoulds. I should be thinner. I should have more friends. I should be earning more money. Are you the kind who says should all the time? Shoulds are the demands you place on yourself. A should represents what you are not doing but you think you should be. So, when you know you should be doing something but are not doing it, how do you feel? Inadequate, hopeless, frustrated. Yes, the list can go on. So, what are your plans to get rid of the shoulds? It's easy. Just change the should to want or could. I want to do this. How could I do this? 4. Labelling. How often do you use an adjective to describe yourself? Labelling is a common syndrome. This is when you give yourself a name or statement that describes who you are. For example, I am a loser. I am stupid. I am ugly. I am fat. How is it possible that you are a loser in every aspect of your life? Is there nothing in you that is attractive? Are you forever a dimwit? Of course not. Stop labelling yourself and be specific in your thoughts. Instead of saying, I'm a loser, say, that didn't work out how I would have liked it to. 5. Binning the positives. Do you tend to overlook the compliments people give you? Do you refuse to accept and ignore if someone says, that was a great job, well done? Or, you look fantastic today. How do you usually reply to praise? Oh, it was nothing, it was easy, or I don't look great really, you're just saying that. Do you realise that you've just discounted the fact that you worked really hard to get that job done, or that you took time over your appearance to get it right? Let's set this record straight. A simple thank you with a smile is the perfect response. Think it over. Is it that much of an effort? You would give credit to someone who did a great job. Make sure you accept the credit when you do a great job or when you receive a compliment. 6. And they all lived happily ever after. Perfection is an illusion. Oh yes it is. No point arguing here. So, if you are a person who has to have everything perfect in your life, it's going to be pretty tough, buddy. You are setting yourself up for disappointments. Now, do you have thoughts like, that shouldn't happen to me? I can't believe that has happened. That's unfair. Stop looking for that perfect world. Everyone has things happen to him or her, good and bad. You are not a special case and no one is exempt. Instead, accept that bad times fall on all and ask yourself, what could I do to improve this situation now? 7. Blaming other people and events. Do you blame others and don't accept responsibility for the outcomes that are different from your expectations? Do you say, if only my parents had been more ambitious, I'd have more success by now. If only I didn't have to impress all of the time. He makes me feel so bad. She had a hold over me, which means I can't do anything. While this attitude is awful, it will also make you feel like a victim. Forever, you will move ahead with a sense of helplessness that you are capable of nothing. It isn't your fault, is it? Yes, it is. Agreed? The event has had an effect on you, but at the end of the day, only you have the responsibility to let it affect you. So, how do you turn these thoughts around? Well, for starters, focus on the reality. If you feel something is unfair or unjust, accept that it is. Then accept that the impact it has on you is your responsibility. Don't make excuses. It is your responsibility. Number 8. It's all or nothing. There's more than just black and white. There are several colours in between, right? Like blue, green, red, yellow, pink, brown, purple, mauve. Whew. Then why are most aspects of life just black or white? Are you one of those who think it's all or nothing? Isn't there a grey area in between? I'm either a success or a failure. If I get first place, I'm a winner. If I get second place, I'm a loser. irrespective if there are 20,000 runners. If I don't get things 100% perfect, I'm a flop. If I don't get a grade A in math, I'm a failure. Well, in life there are rarely successes and failures. In fact, success is a journey, not a destination. Success and failure are not meant to be measured on a 100 or 0 scale. At the end of the day, if you don't perform to your highest standards, it certainly doesn't mean you scored a 0. Your "it's all or nothing" thought is only setting you up for failures. How many times do you perform with absolute perfection? Less than 10% of the time. So, does that mean you are a failure 90% of the time? Now you know that's utter nonsense. Why so you always have to be perfect? Number 9. Negative thinking erodes your soul. How do you react to events that don't work out the way you planned? Negatively? For instance, your boss has said that you completed a piece of work incorrectly, so you say to your partner that you've had a terrible day. You may have burnt the pie, so the whole meal is ruined. You might have cut your finger while hiking, so the entire holiday is messed up. Your thought makes the entire situation negative. What happens if you change your focus when you start thinking negatively? You can say, what is still good about this situation? That is the only one bad thing. What are the good things? What could I still enjoy about this experience? 10. Believing what you feel. Feelings are not facts. If you believe your feelings blindly, just too bad, my friend. Mend your ways or you are sure to suffer a confidence setback. The quality of your life is based upon the quality of your feelings. Feelings are only thoughts that we have decided to generate. That doesn't make them real. You give meaning to your thoughts and hence your feelings. So, are you the type of person who believes all the feelings you have? I feel bad, therefore I must be bad. I feel like a loser, therefore I must be a loser. I feel ugly, therefore I must be ugly. Low levels of confidence can distort your thoughts, so you really need to question your feelings before you believe them. Ask yourself questions like, what would someone who is a 100% loser, is bad or ugly, be like? Am I really like that? Challenge your feelings by questioning them. 11. Personalising. Personalising is when you blame yourself. Personalising happens when you say, it's entirely my fault that my son didn't get the chances in life. If I wasn't so clingy, men would stay with me. It's all my fault that we got divorced. Blaming yourself for others' actions and decisions means you are taking too many responsibilities on your shoulders. Don't. Simply because you are not accountable for someone else's decision making. Remember that you are not the only one giving advice or offering opinions. An individual meets numerous people and hence gets a number of opinions, but in the end he or she has the freedom to decide what he or she wants to do. Agreed, mistakes do happen and some of them could be the result of your action or decision, but all of them? You don't believe that, do you? Your confidence is suffering a blow every time you hold yourself liable for someone else's life turning out to be miserable. Take the reins of your life into your hands. Don't blame yourself and don't let others do it unjustly. 12. making comparisons with others. Do you always compare yourself to others? If you do, it's high time you stop. Why are you putting yourself through so much of worthless competition? Frankly, it isn't even healthy competition. What you're doing through such a comparison is magnifying your weaknesses and others' strengths, or shrink others' weaknesses and your strengths. So, are you saying something like this? I haven't got a chance for this job. After all, who is going to want to hire a single mum? Maria is young, single, and she's got a degree. Or, I'm hopeless at spelling and math. Mark is great at these. He can do them standing on his head. And such as, no one will want to go out with me. I've got a big nose. Look at Donna. She's beautiful, has lovely hair and really nice skin. Challenge these thoughts. Appreciate that you are a unique person and stop these distortions. And finally, 13. I can't cope with life. Now, if you find yourself saying stuff like, I can't stand it, I couldn't live without you, I cannot manage this. So, what are you doing? Accepting defeat and telling yourself that you're not strong enough to cope with life? Yes, a lot of things in life are unpleasant, difficult and not nice. But you can cope with it. A better way of saying something is, I don't really like this, but I can stand it. So how do you challenge and question this thinking? By asking the following. If this does happen, will I really be helpless and be unable to cope? If the worst happens, what will I do? When I look back in 30 years' time, will anyone really care about this? Well, that's all we have time for in this session. Good luck, and once you've done the work asked of you today, then tune in to part 4. And remember, if at any time you wish to download this course so that you may fill in the questions on the worksheet, then please go to selinastone.com under the heading e-courses. As always, until next time, be lucky.